The shroud of the dark side has fallen. Begun. The Clone War has.
The Clone Wars are a major event in the history of the Star Wars universe. And obviously because it's a war, there's a lot of action and a lot of adventure and a lot of things going on. But in the films, we don't really get to deal with that very much. We kind of start the Clone War in one episode, we end it in the next episode, but we never actually see the war. And so by doing the animated series, it was a great opportunity to fill in some of the blanks in the middle where you get to deal with the adventures of the war and all the things that went on during the war, because obviously that's a very fertile ground for exciting storytelling.
The response from the first 20 has been really positive. I think everybody just complained about how short they were. I got a phone call that George wanted to talk to me, and they had this idea because they wanted to do more, but he wanted it to tie in directly into episode 3.
It seemed like an honor. You know, he enjoyed the first batch enough to want to be like, hey, let's do some more. And not only that, why don't you guys animate the opening scroll, basically. We're like, woohoo!
That's one of the great things about these. They're 12-minute episodes, and wow, we could fit 4 times, obviously, as much information. And plus, it directly ties into the third movie, which makes it even more captivating because it's more of a story rather than just episodes of war. The big arc that we worked on was with the Anakin and Obi-Wan.
In our first batch, it was more of like what was going on in episode 2, with the kind of, gruffy master and the kind of the, bull-headed student.
You're supposed to be in space leading our forces.
It's under control.
Under control? I don't think so. Your place.
So we really wanted to show that there was a transfer of that, that the relationship had become something a bit different. That those elements could still be there under the surface, but for the most part, they're chums, they're pals.
And so if you like the first ones, these will be even stronger, because now we still have huge amounts of action, but we've got those little slower parts where you can have some great character relationships.
So it may start off like this, really thumbnails, totally.
Initially when we first started, we talked a lot about style and how's this going to translate into animation. But I'm definitely a very true fan of 2D traditional animation, from Disney through Warner Brothers, through the Fleshers, through everything. All the history that's established animation as an art form. And so it was kind of important to us to create a style where it spoke true of Star Wars and related to it, but it also had its own visual point of view.
The thing that attracted me to it, it has a slight anime feel to it, and I'm very interested in anime, and I was really interested in moving into a kind of animation that was very different from anything we'd done in the past. And Genndy is very good at bridging that transition between traditional animation and anime.
So here we are at Cartoon Network, and this is where we make Star Wars, Clone Wars. And as you can see, my room is a little messy, but I never have a chance to catch up and clean up. So the process that we're doing with the Clone Wars, the second chapter, is we're doing these kind of small thumbnails for storyboards. And this is actually some of the choreography. There's like 30, 40, 50 poses for like 5 seconds. Because when we do fights, we have to really do the choreography. And then what we'll do with this is we scan them into the computer, and then myself and a few other people will draw them actually on models. So here, if you come here, so here, as you can see, here's the rough sketch that's blown up, and here we have our fielding. So that's kind of the pose I want to draw, and then so I'll draw the pose, sometimes in different layers to come in. And then here underneath is I've got my whole storyboard of all the fight poses. So here we have Paul Rudish who's the art director. And Paul's doing the same thing that I was showing you, except he's still drawing with a pencil and paper.
Having the opportunity to be involved with the whole Star Wars saga, it's been really cool to actually explore the Clone Wars. Me and my friend Mike Tweed be playing with our action figures and down in the basement and just, dreaming about what were the Clone Wars all about. And then having an opportunity to make some of that gel is really awesome. It's fun that there's so many different little mediums that explore Star Wars and making it a larger universe, and just on a nerd level, it'll be cool to go, yeah, my cartoon connects to that movie. Now you get to go see the movie and then find out how my cartoon ended. Pretty amazing.
One of the most important elements of Star Wars is all the flybys and how the ships go. And to do that hand-drawn would be very difficult. So that's kind of the only way the computer was involved, is by doing the animation on the ships. This is really my favorite part of the process, where we start seeing things coming together, and from those rough little thumbnails and even our ideas to this final process. And then once you add sound and music, it'll be even so much more spectacular.
The second group of episodes in the animated series leads right up to the events that happen in the film. So we get a little background on what was going on right before episode 3.
I mean, ideally, what we'd love to see is we'd love to see like an hour edit of the chapters, the next 5, be shown in the movie theater right before the third movie, just to see how it feels, because it really does link up.
It's the last of this epic saga. I mean, you gotta see it on the big screen.
Oh, there's a new one coming!
It's a little episode 2.5, but a little one, maybe like 2.3.
I have a visual.
Jedi?
I think so.
One of the things that I really focused on from the first season to the second was I wanted it to feel like Star Wars. And so I really concerned myself with getting the feel right. Like, you're watching it and you forget that it's a cartoon. And you just believe that it's Anakin, it's Obi-Wan, it's Yoda. You believe those are the characters.
Initially with the first series, they originally were supposed to be commercials. Lucasfilm themselves, they decided that they would be a little longer, so they became longer episodes. But we weren't able to tell a lot of story. It was mostly just action. With the advent of the second series, we actually were able to tell an actual fairly long story, more like a movie, like an animated movie.
I mean, the thing about doing Star Wars is that it's the story. And the story coming from George, not just something we made up. And now going into this, all of a sudden, it's still Clone Wars, but it's the ending of the Clone Wars.
They wanted us to do more of what we had done because it was so successful, but at the same time they wanted us to actually do the crawl from the opening of the film. So it became more a real part of Star Wars. We had to show Palpatine being kidnapped. We had to have Anakin and Obi-Wan away from the planet and in the Outer Rim territories.
In our heads, we're already formulating what we want to see. Just by the nature of those few words, there's a big battle above Coruscant. And, remnants of Return of the Jedi and what they pulled off in Return of the Jedi are still in your head and, all that. So we got that chance to play with the Battle of Coruscant, and we started figuring out that what it is just a big ruse. And we actually put that in the cartoon a little bit because we just couldn't wrap our heads around the fact that there'd be this big attack, but the temple is fine and the Senate is fine. So we kind of came up with this own thing, and we have Mace and Yoda discover it.
Strange is the enemy strategy.
A massive invasion, but no attempt to take the temple or Senate.
Unless an elaborate distraction?
To hide their primary objective.
Palpatine!
Some of the look evolved very kind of naturally in order, and we got a lot of photographs and reference for what the new vehicles were going to be in episode 3, and they were all hybrids between the TIE fighter and between the X-Wing fighter, and you could tell this is the bridging machinery. So we kind of followed along with that, and we made our clone troopers look similar to stormtroopers, and everything started to kind of fall into place, and everything's starting to look like A New Hope. We wanted to almost treat it like one big 3-hour movie, including Revenge of the Sith and what we did. So we started to enhance all those parts in the movie that maybe you didn't have time for.
You're mine, old man.
We had certain goals in mind that we wanted to hit, like on certain people. We wanted to address the friendship between Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Since we know episode 3 is their friendship has the big falling out, this is our last chance to let people know that they're pals.
In episode 2, they were bickering, and, you know, you had your big brother, little brother squabbles.
We have a job to do!
I don't care! Put the ship down!
You will be expelled from the Jedi Order!
In episode 3, the guys show up, and they're good pals, and they're joking around.
I sense a trap. Next move? Spring the trap.
Of course, in episode 4, old Ben is telling Luke about when he and Luke's dad used to be old pals.
You fought in the Clone Wars?
Yes. I was once a Jedi Knight, the same as your father.
Just those few sentences created such a mystique, you know, in your brain as a kid going, oh, man, what was it like when Luke's dad was cool and Ben was young and they were hanging out and swashbuckling around the universe and the Clone Wars? What the heck was that about? Not everything needs to be totally explained, but definitely knighthood wanted to be explained. That pinnacle moment in Anakin's evolution.
Anakin Skywalker, by the right of the Council, by the will of the Force, dub thee I do, Jedi, Knight of the Republic.
We thought, oh, let's give him the knighthood, but then he's going to have his trials after. And we got excited about that idea, and then we started to structure our story based on that theme. Okay, what situation are we going to put Anakin in that could be like a trial? What George Lucas always says, it's all about mirrors and kind of like ripples, and the ripples repeat themselves. So we wanted to follow that thing where on Dagobah in Empire Strikes Back, where Luke steps into the cave and he sees Darth Vader, and, you know, and whatever vision that gave him.
When Anakin went into the cave and had his vision, it's kind of like his final trial. It's kind of like a roadmap saying, well, this is what has happened on this planet, and this is what's happening in your life, and they kind of mirror each other, but at the same time, he takes something else from it. He comes away thinking that his actions could hurt Padme, and I think that that strengthens his feelings in the third film, because that's a main point in the third film, that he is concerned with her life. And when we show that in the visual, that the cave drawing chokes like the little female Nelvon warrior, it's really just saying, you know, it's telling him that these are future events, but they're not set in stone, and that it's his choices that define who he is.
You really wanted it to be something original, and I really got excited about that, because here's something kind of new, and you really had a chance for our characters to shine.
General Grievous, you're shorter than I expected.
Jedi scum.
When we first did Grievous in Chapter 20, we had very little information about him. He was just being conceived as a main villain for Episode 3. But for this, we had to really explore him more. And you know, George kind of told me about, he had some thoughts about that he was like an old-style villain where he fights, but then when he's losing, he runs away. We had a lot of discussions about lightsabers. How does he know to use lightsabers? Because it's supposed to be like a special gift, and you're supposed to be force sensitive. George kind of told me, oh, maybe Count Dooku teaches him.
How often must I tell you? Control my central line. Good.
I've been trained in your Jedi arts by Count Dooku.
And then we got a call that they wanted to introduce Grievous's cough earlier, because our character didn't have it, so we somehow had to maybe link the two together better. And so eventually we ended up doing a little sequence at the maybe 2 weeks before we had to deliver, of Mace going out and crushing Grievous's chest, and that's what gives us the connection that all of a sudden he starts coughing.
What's the situation, Captain?
A lot of Star Wars is about kind of reveals. And we got a chance to reveal a lot of things. And we even didn't think of it until we started doing it. We're like, oh, we get to reveal C-3PO's gold plating.
Gold plating?
Oh, yes. In the service of a senator, one must be presentable.
Then we started to explore a little bit of the relationship between Obi-Wan and Commander Cody, where they have a relationship in the movie. So we kind of hinted at that a little bit.
General Kenobi.
Commander Cody.
The siege goes well.
Oh, by the way, I think you'll be needing this. Thank you, Cody.
The one thing that we really wanted to do is just draw Wookiees. As soon as we got approval that we could do something on Kashyyyk, we did.
We found out that what was going to happen in Episode 3, Kashyyyk was going to be invaded, and so we need to get in there with some Wookiees because we know they're going to show up. It was exciting to have a chance to draw Wookiees because you love Wookiees.
Some of the most fun is to take something there's like a drawing in the book or one scene in the movie, and you create a whole world for that character.
Everyone out!
No! We must pursue!
General, we can't.
And the new ones that we did with Roran Cobb, where the race has 4 throats. And we're like, oh, 4 throats, that's a great idea. In our story meeting, we were riffing, and I go, oh, right, and then he's coming at him, and he just yells at him.
Thorians, 4 throats, quite powerful.
So I've heard.
Kenobi, Skywalker, Coruscant is under siege, and General Grievous has abducted the Supreme Chancellor. You must return immediately. You must rescue Palpatine.
Grievous. Battle stations. All crews to their fighters. Prepare to jump into hyperspace. Move!
Lock onto him, R2. Master, General Grievous's ship is directly ahead. The one crawling with vulture droids.
Oh, I see it. Oh, this is going to be easy.
I think some parts sunk together really well to Episode 3. You can watch it from the beginning of our thing until they land the ship onto Coruscant. That can really feel like one movie.
Another happy landing.
When you actually sit back and you watch it when it's all finished and you look back on it now, you just think that it's a moment of pride.
It's very exciting to have been able to add a little bit to that mythology that sparked my imagination as a kid.
Everything we did, we based on original films, so how could we go wrong? It's going to feel like Star Wars.
I think Star Wars is, it's mythology. It's modern-day mythology that we all can relate to. It's very accessible because you see similar characters to people that you know or who you are inside. If you can create a universe and characters like that, that's what makes it last.